Welcome to the Inside Track on Real Estate. And I'm Ken Decker, and today I have a very special guest, Clayton. Clayton's one of our current clients that has bought a few homes from us. Mm-hmm. And so, Clayton, what caused you to pick the Decker team in the first place way back, I don't even remember how many years ago?
Well, it was actually 1996.
1996, okay.
Yeah, and since then I think we've purchased at least 5 properties with you as a partnership, and started off with actually a corporate move. So I think we lucked into it from the start when I moved from London back home to Ottawa with our 2 kids. So it was very stressful move with 2 young children, and I'd like to say the move and the house finding adventure went smoothly.
Okay, so that was about 18 years ago. And when did you know, like you said, it's very stressful to make a corporate move because you've got a certain number of days to go find a house and transport your family and everything. When did you know that you'd made the right choice with the Decker team?
I think the commitment and the lack of pressure. So there was no, even though there was a pressure corporately for me to get reestablished, there was no pressure from the Decker team in order to put up with all of our timelines that because we only had so many hours a day, so many days a week where we could actually be in the Ottawa area. And the fact that I could see that there was like no sales pressure at all. There was total openness on looking at what I needed for a home, what we needed as a family, and an understanding of the area, I think, was key as we relocated back to the Ottawa area.
So our priority in our real estate business is the best interest of the client, and it sounds like you started to pick up on that because there wasn't the sales pressure to kind of squeeze you into a particular property or a particular location.
Yeah. I'd say that was exactly the situation. So prior moves, because I've been moving corporately probably 5 or 6 times. Okay. This one here was perfectly smooth. There was no pressure. I could tell that. I know that the Decker team, as an example, we were a little reluctant to live in the rural areas because I work downtown. And I know a couple examples is one day I was driven downtown just to time it, right, to prove that I could actually get from the rural areas to downtown in time for a meeting. And that was really well appreciated. Now, things like that you don't forget. You
were driven. So
I was driven.
Someone from the Decker team?
Someone from the Decker team actually, that you know very well.
Okay, probably my wife at that point.
Yeah.
So she put you in her car at rush hour and drove you to your office so you could see how long it would take from that location in the city.
Yeah, to prove to me that the rurals was actually, in my case, the best location for us. We had moved from a rural property 3 times before, so I was sort of focused on that, but didn't know about the traffic.
Okay.
And she proved that could get there in time, and we made the decision right away.
All right. And so what else helped you to find a house, the right home for you, that the Decker team did for you? Was there any techniques or anything that kind of stands out?
Yeah, well, I'd say that the first one was a while ago, but since then we've had, I think, 4 others. So I think the key thing there is your ability to line everything up for us, essentially make it a fun experience as opposed to a stressful experience. Okay. So having things set up, for example, discussions ahead of time, looking at property management companies, looking at finance, looking at legal, looking at home inspection, things like that, where you've got partners within your own family, of your own network, and extending those to us sort of made the experience, I'd say, very seamless and an exciting experience as opposed to surprises.
Right, because actually the future homes that you bought and property you bought were not to move out of your existing home. You're still in the home that you located into 18 years ago, correct?
Yeah. The idea was they're supposed to be investment properties, but we have children living in one. We have a boat sitting on another one. But yeah, and I think one of the values that you guys have is because of your family and your Decker team is there's no problem ever being in immediate contact with anyone from the team, whether it's yourself, whether it's Yetta, whether it's Ryan. You're always there to answer the call.
I think actually you've worked with everybody except for Candace, if I remember correctly.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
We'll have to see what we can do, Clayton. Yeah. Okay. So you've talked about some of the needs that we fulfilled for you. What did you find valuable or informative about the communication during the process? Because sometimes it can be a lengthy process. Sometimes it can be very quick. What happens?
Well, I think you've got some pretty handy web tools. So being alerted when properties come up or there's changes on property listings. So we're immediately notified as to a change. And we're online, as most people are these days, 7/24 pretty well. So we're always watching, and still to this day, even though we just closed a property a few weeks ago, we're still looking. This morning, for example, looking at new opportunities out there. So your web tools are very helpful. The finance tools that you forwarded to see if from an investment perspective, very handy. And I think just the fact that you're electronically connected through the web. So anytime, anywhere is really helped us out.
Yeah, they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but we've got the experience of selling real estate for over 25 years, and yet we've stayed current with the technology and the times.
Exactly.
It's
and I think these days to get the proper property, you need to act very fast. Like you're talking hours, or at most a few days, as opposed to in the past where you may have had weeks and weeks and weeks to close a deal.
Yes. Yeah. That's true. As a matter of fact, we when we first started in the business, we had a catalog of houses, black and white pictures, in a thing that looked like a phone book, and they would come out once a month, and they were like gold. People would want to take them because we didn't have anything on the internet. It was crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
So what would you say was the most significant benefits of having the expertise of a specialized team, not only the Decker team in that we all have our specialities, but also you were talking about having the resource of, we go, well, if you need a property manager, here's one, and if you need a lawyer, here's a couple good lawyers, if you need a mortgage broker, here's a good person.
Yeah. Well, I think we've taken advantage of all of those aspects. So finance, investing, mortgage, lawyers, inspectors, electricians, and property management. And I think that the aspect that was really interesting for us was the fact that these people act like you do. So your reputation is really dependent on how they perform too.
Yes, it is.
So they have something to live up to. And I could say that after the 5 experiences we've had with your partners, they live up to your expectation and my expectation to make it even like a entirely smooth process. So,
excellent.
Yeah.
So some people will say, well, I'd rather just work with one realtor. Now, you've worked with the team, you've worked with several of our members. How did you find that structure worked for you? Because not always you're talking to the same person.
I would say it was transparent. I think you get a little bit more you expect a little bit different things out of different people, but I think overall the communication within the Decker team was consistent. There was never any surprises, never had to bring anyone up to date. Every time we talked to we talked to yourself, Ryan, and Yetta several times, you always seemed to be in the loop with regards to the most current activity going on with regards to a search or a sale. So really seamless. It didn't really matter to us if we were dealing with person A, B, C, or D. Everything was very consistent and didn't lose any time. And time is obviously of the essence when you're looking at properties.
That's true. So you could just imagine our family dinners with 4 realtors sitting around a table having a Sunday dinner. We're updating everybody on each other's clients so that we can all be in the loop, because it's important. Realtors, just like any other person, they're running a business or they're working. You can't work 52 weeks a year, 7 days a week and not burn out. And so we take time to recharge ourselves. And the beauty with the team structure is, because people know what's going on with each client, when one of us leaves for a week of holidays, it seems to be very seamless for our clients.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. And very evident that it works. It works. It's working well.
Yeah. So this actually says, we have a couple of cheat notes here. I don't normally talk about my cheat notes, but it says that, it says you're not a novice. I missed the not word. So you've experienced several moves and you're not a novice at moving. How did the experience with the Decker team vary compared to other than the no pressure thing that you spoke about with other agents? How's it vary?
I would say with other moves that I've had or other home purchases where it's involved the family, the destination end was always a risk, always a surprise. And I could say that each and every property that we moved into was a bit of a disaster.
Oh, really?
In the past.
Okay.
And there was like water in the basement, mold here, lack of insulation. I'm not going to talk about critters, but we all have, when you live in the country, you always get...
You get a critter every once in a while.
There's other residents in the house. But I would say that in the past it's always been, I'd say, challenging and nerve-wracking, especially when you have young children and you're relocating to a new area. When we engaged with yourselves, it was we got to know the area well. So the discussion wasn't only on the property itself or the type of house, it was actually on the community. Okay. And as I mentioned earlier, the distance into work, proving to me that I could get to work on time and taking me there. So I think it turned a risky, challenging, stressful situation into something we were looking forward to because we knew what to expect at the far end.
And I think the fact that you've been there 18 years in your home is a testament that we got the right home for you.
Yeah, it was perfect. You started off looking at what our needs were, community-wise, size-wise, property-wise, and took those into account throughout the entire process.
Now the kids are moving on now?
Yeah, the kids are now in Toronto in a place that, again, one of your contacts helped us acquire.
Yeah. So we referred you to an agent in Toronto to help you buy a condominium, I believe, for your
And
for your
every
kids.
month we follow up with her, even though we haven't done more business with her in the last 3-4 years. So she's continues to keep in touch. Again, part of the family, the extended team.
Yeah, she's someone that we network with extensively. And as a matter of fact, we make sure that the people that we refer our clients to handle their business similar to what we handle our business, so that if you're looking for a referral for your kids or family members in a different city around the country or even in the US, we're able to find that right realtor for you.
Yep, and that was a tremendous experience where in Toronto, the pressures of sale are a little bit different than in the Ottawa area. So we had to, and I travel a lot for work, so I was actually in the wrong province, and we closed the house sight unseen. and then I did manage to get back in before we signed off on all of our conditions, and it's worked out fine.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Overall, how would you rate your service on a scale of 1, you'd never work with us again, and 10, you would introduce family, friends, and others to the Decker team?
Definitely a 1. No, I'm only kidding. I would say it's 9 to 10. 10 being that we definitely would refer you to friends and family. In fact, I have done that on several occasions already. I think what you guys do is it's different than any other agent I've dealt with. And I say agent, I mean by agent that a lot of real estate agents are just out to make a sale. And you guys, it's not really around making a single sale. It's like a lifetime experience. You want to be there, whether it be for discussions on what you do with your cash, where you invest, if I need a mortgage. So it's more than just real estate. It's reaching out into the entire industry, really. So
we're going to delve into that a little deeper in a moment. Okay. If you're just joining us, you're listening to the Inside Track on Real Estate with the Decker team. We're glad you joined us. Today I have a special guest, Clayton. Clayton's one of our current clients that has bought his own personal home 18 years ago through the Decker team, and also has purchased a condo in Toronto for the children going to university. He's bought a cottage property, which I don't think you've built on yet, have you?
Sort of.
Oh, you sort of built on it? Okay. And a couple investment properties as well. Now, the investment properties have been happening a little more recently, and those properties came out of a consultation that I think we did together, correct?
Yep. Yeah, I think it was a Saturday morning. We came in for a half-hour discussion over a coffee, and we were here, I think, for about 4 hours.
I was going to say, I don't remember it being a half hour.
But we got lots of information and lots of encouragement, and also the pros and cons. You know, good lessons on the pros and cons of what to do going forward with either my money or the bank's money.
Okay.
Really, and you put us in touch with the right people to make things happen and get the right ideas in our head.
So we actually sat down. You brought in, you kind of opened up your financial life in front of me and said, "This is what I have in RSPs. This is what I have in cash. This is what I have in investments. This is the debts I have. Where would you suggest
Yep.
moving stuff around? What would be my next investment?" You knew the value of real estate as an investment because it has three ways that it grows, can give you return actually. One is equity growth. Second is mortgage pay down, and it's your tenant that's paying down the mortgage. And then the third is cash flow, which increases over time as rent increases. So three different ways that real estate investment brings money to the table, which is very, very exciting. We get great returns on that. So you saw the value in that after or probably even before our consultation, but it's reinforced during our consultation. And then we put you in contact with the right mortgage person for your goal of where you wanted to end up.
Yep.
So based on the number of properties you want to own and that sort of thing. So that was an excellent time.
Yeah, no, it definitely worked out well. We took away many notes. I think it was both, it kicked us off into, property investment and whatnot, but it also, I think it was very educational. Right? What do you do with that little bit of cash that we have? And in order to lessen the risk with it, I think we've all invested in shares and stocks and the .com era, but those days are kind of over and risky. So we've been very successful at reinvesting in thanks to yourself of giving us the courage to actually take on some of these ventures. It's been quite an experience.
Yeah, it can seem daunting because some people say, well, I don't want to be called in the middle of the night to fix a leaking toilet or whatever, right? But for a slightly less rate of return, you can have a property manager handle all of that, finding a tenant, doing the credit check, the works, right?
It's been, I think, one of the biggest fears of, and I do that in my day-to-day job, being 724, 365 on call. My guys are, I just manage them. But
okay.
But in this case, the last thing I wanted to do was be on call for a fuse that's blown or a toilet that's leaking or a whatever the case may be, an eave trough falling down. So yes, you're right. We did engage with a property management team who manages several properties in the area, and it's been a huge success story for us. They've taken care of everything from A to Z pretty well, from listing the property for rent, from putting signs on the property, from even before we purchased to come in and take a look at the property and give us some hints. Is this a good deal? Is it not a good deal? What would they change? Everything from changing the paint colors of the walls they've helped us with, right
Very
through
cool.
to finding a tenant, and then from there on we just get the returns in our account, and they take care of everything.
So this was an interesting fact because you actually bought a property and then had the first one that actually, the first investment one that I actually helped find with you. The property manager came in prior to closing, looked at it. We put into the package that we could have some showings prior to the closing. And that just helped in the process of, I know we had some struggles getting in with that particular one, but real estate is never without the odd challenge, and that's one thing you want a great real estate agent that doesn't hide their head in the sand when a challenge comes up. Because to me, when a challenge occurs, that's my opportunity to shine and come through, right?
Yeah, definitely. We did have a few challenges up front with getting in. Ideally, we wanted to show the property before we actually purchased it.
Right.
So the time between purchase and rental was minimized. I think the end result though is through the property, the aggressive approach of the property management company, and after when we did acquire it, they spun it around really fast, and we have a happy tenant in that one property.
So that's another fear, is that the property may be vacant for, landlords go, well, what if my property is vacant for 3, 4, 5 months? I have to cover it. Excuse me. And that's always a challenge. And yet I think the reality is if it's priced properly and it's in a condition that people want to rent it,
Yep.
then that's not really the reality in Ottawa, that you have to have places vacant for multiple months.
Yeah, and I think even in the upfront process when we started our search and even today, we're still looking at different properties, is discussions with yourselves would indicate stay away from that area, it's saturated, if you're looking at investment for rentals. And so even helpful hints like that, because you're in the business, right? So you've helped us there to say stay away from certain areas because there's saturation of rental properties on the marketplace, which is driving the price of even though the property values may be going down, they're going to sit for a long time and there's a lot of competition. So so helping us on the whole finance side is to make sure that you're not only getting a good return on your monthly rental, but also it's not going to sit each and every time you want to re-rent it. So it's,
Right.
No, it's been a good experience so far, and the property management team we're working with has been fabulous.
Good, good. So if you could name the 3 most important factors in selecting a partner to do real estate business with, what would they be?
And I think that the 3 areas that you're distinct in, one would be trust. And I think by trust, I mean you have to trust me, but I have to trust you. I have to trust the Decker team. And over the 18 years that we've been working together, there's definitely that element of trust is there. The other one I think is respect. These are the same things I use day to day at work too. So respect is the second one, and that means not only do I respect you, but also your partners around you respect you, right? Okay. And then they use yourselves and your ethics as a role model as to how do they proceed in their day to day in representing your customers. And I think the other one would be experience, that you're well connected. You know where to invest, when to invest, and the reverse, when not to invest, when to get out. and I think that those 3 elements really build into the difference between an agent, like a broker or a real estate agent, and a partner. And definitely, I think over the 18 years, we have a really solid partnership, and it's not stopping. We're continuing to look each and every day at new opportunities. So. Well, and it's awesome. Been a real learning experience together.
That's great. Awesome, Clayton.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate you coming in today.
Anytime.
It's fabulous. I've got a property or 2 that I'm going to highlight now for our clients that need to sell. One of them is in the West End. Great property. Could be an investment property, actually. It's a 2-bedroom stacked house. I'll sell it to you right now, Clayton. It's a stacked house, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and is on the upper level, because the stacked ones, normally they have, you can come in on the main level on the lower units and the bedrooms are in the basement, or you come in on this one, you go up to the living room, kitchen area with a balcony off the back, and then you go up another floor and you get the 2 bedrooms up there. This property is listed almost, the lower units usually sell a little less, maybe $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 less than the lower, because your bedrooms are actually in the basement. They have fairly big windows, but they're in the basement. This is an upper unit, and it's for sale almost at the price of what the lower unit's been selling at, $218,000. That makes it quite affordable for a 2-bedroom unit for a rental, or it'd be a great starter house as well. Let's see. Now we'll go to the total other end of the spectrum. Out near where you live, I actually have a 58-acre parcel of real estate. It has a licensed pit on it that's probably about 25 acres, the area that's zoned for mineral extraction. Has a beautiful 3-bedroom bungalow, fairly recent build on that, with an in-ground pool in the back, and it's got a, what would you call it? It's kind of like a greenhouse built over it, and this pool is heated with one of those external furnaces that you throw the logs in and they burn for 24 or 48 hours or whatever, those big furnaces, and they heat it all winter long. So they swim all winter in their outdoor pool. It's quite an interesting thing. And then the rest of the acreage is rural zoning. It's got lovely trees and walking paths and that kind of thing. So it's a great nature retreat in the south end of the city. And that's listed at $899,000, which could be a next move for you, maybe.
Never know.
Great property. Now, the other thing we have, also just south of the city, we have a little over 100-acre farm, has 2 residences on it, and a very large barn that they used to hold sheep. And this is well over 100 acres. That one is listed at $1.2 million. And we're actually getting some interest on that. So if that's something that, if you're a farmer, you want to grow some crops, or you want to divide the property up and maybe make some money on it, $1.2 million in the south end of the city. And then I got to talk about one gem, Manotick. This property is gorgeous, in-ground pool, an oasis in the backyard. No neighbors can see into the pool. And about 4,500 square feet, give or take a couple hundred. And that property is listed for $950,000. Now, if you haven't heard, one of the properties that maybe I've just talked about might not fit your needs, but you would like to find a new property, maybe it's your first property, maybe it's time to right size. Maybe your house, the kids are all moved out, it's time to get a little smaller place. Maybe the kids are coming fast and furious and you need a bigger place. So give us a call at 613-860-4663, and we'd love to sit down with you just like we did with Clayton. We'll sit down, talk about your family needs, your finances, and get a good sense of what you can afford, because not necessarily what the bank says they'll loan you is what you should borrow to buy a house. Because the last thing we want you to do is what I call being house broke. In other words, you get into the house, but now you can't afford any furniture, you can't afford to go out and eat, you can't afford to live anymore other than to look after this house. That's not a great way to live either. That's not a great lifestyle. So we'll do that consultation with you. It's free. We'll spend that 45 minutes to an hour, and if you're a talker and you need more information, it might turn into 4. Yeah. But we don't force you to go 4. Typically, it's 45 minutes to an hour for a consultation, and we'll just look after your best interests. That's our goal. So if you want to sit down with us or one of the Decker team members, give us a call at 613-860-4663. That's 613-860-4663. Looking forward to help you. Bye for now.